Welcome everybody. My name is Aleksandra Borucka, and on behalf of BCC I'd like to thank you for joining our online session. Today we will take a closer look at SAP Fiori for materials management in SAP ERP systems. Our speaker today is Krzysztof Usowicz, SAP Solutions Architect in BCC. I see that there are people among us who do not know our company yet. Let me briefly describe what we do at BCC. BCC's offering covers three areas. First one refers to SAP services. We offer a full range of services needed to implement, maintain and develop SAP systems. BCC data centers make up the second area. We provide comprehensive IT infrastructure maintenance, including outsourcing in our data centers and IT consulting. The third part of our offering is the BCC Software Factory. We create custom business software in any technology. In the area of SAP services, I would like to draw your attention to BCC SAP Add-ons. We offer over 40 proprietary extensions of SAP standard. They are unique products designed to increase the effectiveness of SAP systems usage at a low cost. One of them is BCC MatFlow, a ready-to-use solution that supports the creation of material master data in SAP ERP system. If you are interested in this product, just let us know. We will send you more detailed information. That will be all from me. I will now give the floor to Krzysztof.
Okay, so the agenda for today's presentation is as follows. Firstly, I will briefly introduce you to the topic of SAP Fiori. I will mention the idea behind SAP Fiori, its design principles, and some fundamental technological aspects. Then I will describe the types of SAP Fiori apps. Afterwards, I will move forward to the main entry point where users can use SAP Fiori. This is SAP Fiori Launchpad start page. And then after this generic discussion, I will turn into transactional apps that are available in materials management module. After describing the transactional apps, I will describe some full text search capabilities that are available with SAP HANA, and then based on this full text search, I will describe so-called fact sheet apps. After the fact sheet apps, we will dive into the analytic apps, so-called generic drill down apps. And afterwards, I will mention briefly some workflow integration topics and the architecture and technical requirements that must be met in order to implement SAP Fiori. At the end, I will briefly describe the BCC's offer that is associated with this topic. So, what is SAP Fiori? It's not only a technology, it's something more. First of all, it is an idea. There is some idea behind SAP Fiori apps. SAP Fiori apps are role-based. It means that they are designed to cover some fundamental roles in an organization. For example, when a manager approves purchase orders, he's responsible for approval. SAP Fiori apps are also responsive apps. It means they can be started and run on any device, be it a computer, a desktop computer, a tablet, or a smartphone. SAP Fiori apps are also simple apps. There is 113 rule, which means that there is one user, one usage scenario, and 3 different screens. And this restriction is really obeyed by SAP and designers who develop SAP Fiori apps. SAP Fiori apps are also coherent. It means they are similar and they demonstrate the same visual themes and the same usage patterns. And finally, they are delightful. They are simply pretty, and users just like them, how they are designed and how they look like. Having discussed the idea, we can move forward into the design. So during the development SAP Fiori apps, SAP uses some design thinking methodologies, and the focus is on the user experience, not on functional aspects, but more on user experience. So the user must be happy to use SAP Fiori apps. And the third part, which is the enabler for the other two, is certainly the technology that is behind those apps. So in terms of technology, SAP Fiori apps are not simple because they require extensive knowledge in the areas such as ABAP development, HTML5, JavaScript and CSS, OData protocol, SAP Gateway Framework, SAP UI5 controls library, and some basic knowledge about model view controller design pattern that is used commonly in software development. So to sum up, SAP Fiori is something more than technology. It's an idea and a design, and the technology is just an enabler for this. As I mentioned, one of the main elements from the technological point of view is SAP UI5 control library. This control library is available publicly on sapui5.hana.ondemand.com, and there is also open source version of this library, which is called OpenUE5. Please feel free to check what types of applications can be built used this technology, and you will discover new enterprise-grade horizons, definitely. So, moving forward to the types of SAP Fiori apps. There are exactly 3 types of SAP Fiori apps, and they differ not only in how they look like, but especially what is their purpose. So transactional apps are designed to execute operations which change the state of documents in the system or are purely informational. In addition, transactional apps can be implemented on any database system. So you do not have to have SAP HANA in order to implement transactional apps. In comparison, in contrast, the other 2 types of applications, fact sheets and analytic apps, can be implemented only on SAP HANA database. Fact sheet apps are designed to display some key information about objects and the documents and all the reference documents. They present some overview, and they are used with full text search. Analytic apps, on the other hand, are designed to perform some analysis and support decision making. They display calculated KPIs and aggregated data used to calculate those KPIs. And please remember, fact sheets and analytic apps can only run on SAP HANA database. The entry point to SAP Fiori is the SAP Fiori Launchpad start page. It is a web-based entry point which is executed in a browser in which a user can access SAP Fiori apps through so-called tiles. This web page can be accessed either through the address that is entered into the browser's address window, or using the transaction that is available in SAP GUI. This is UI2/FLP. You can start it also from SAP SAP GUI. The start page can be personalized by the user. So for example, the user can create their own groups, move the tiles, remove the tiles that are not used, add the tiles that are often used, etc. So this is the entry point for the end user. Every tile contains some tiles title, some icon, and it optionally contains a description. Moreover, usually there is some dynamic value that is calculated. Example, number of items to be processed. So for example, in this approved purchase orders tile, there is a number 1 which shows that there is 1 pending purchase orders for approval. This is how the tile looks like. The set of tiles that is visible to the user or enabled for the user is directly based on the PFCG role that he or she contains in their user record. Every role can reference so-called tiles catalog, and each catalog contains multiple tiles. Moving forward to the apps that are available in materials management module. There are 2 sets of applications. First set is workflow based, and actually SAP designed these applications firstly. So approving purchase requisitions, approving purchase orders, approving purchase contracts were the first SAP Fiori apps that were delivered by SAP to its clients. These applications are based on release strategies and workflow solutions that are available in every standard MM module. So it is quite easy to implement these applications. The very popular use case is when managers approve such documents. Then they can do that on their smartphones. The other applications are approved service entry sheets, approved supplier invoices, tracking purchase orders, ordering from requisitions, and an overview of my purchasing document items. As you can see, those applications are delivered within 2 different products. The first product was delivered some time ago as the first wave of SAP Fiori applications. This is SAP Fiori Principal Apps for SAP ERP 1.0. The other product which delivers further apps is SAP Fiori 1.0 for SAP ERP. If you want to use the complete scope of applications available for materials management, then you need to install both products on your SAP instance. This is an example of a transactional app used to approve purchase orders. As you can see, there is a list of items on the left and there are some details on the right. This is so-called master detail template or master detail pattern. This pattern, master detail, is very common, and majority of apps, especially apps that contain some type of work list, are designed with this master detail pattern. In addition, you can see the 113 rule, how it is used in a real application. So on the left, the work list is the first screen. On the right, the details are the second screen. And normally, SAP documents contain some items. So if you click on the item, you will directly go into the third screen. So there's 113 rule expressed here. So going forward, the other application, tracking purchase order, which is informational application, is designed with the same design pattern. So there is a list of items on the left, and there are some details on the right. It is an example of master detail template used again. Having discussed some transactional apps, now I will demonstrate full text search capabilities. So the start page, SAP Fiori Launchpad, contains a field used to perform full text search. This field is available at the top of the SAP Fiori Launchpad. And in this field, you can enter any text that you can search for. The system, using so-called search engines, will search for this text in the system independently of the fields. So it will look it will search for this text in all the fields. This full text search capability is delivered with SAP HANA database. Therefore, this full text search can be implemented only when your SAP instance runs on SAP HANA. Without SAP HANA, this is not possible. So when the search results are displayed on a screen, as you can see in the picture, you can see there are purchase orders. When you click the link to the purchase order, the system will start so-called fact sheet app. The fact sheet apps are the apps that demonstrate, that show some key information about the particular document. There are some general information and there are references to other connected documents, such as goods receipts for POs or invoices for POs. The available fact sheet apps are as follows: purchase requisition, purchase order, purchase contract, service entry sheet, supplier invoice, material, supplier, purchasing info record, goods receipt, goods issue, and inbound delivery. So as you can see, there are documents as well as some master data objects. It is also important to note that fact sheet apps are delivered with SAP Fiori 1.0 for SAP ERP add-on that is installed additionally on SAP instance. Now we can see an example fact sheet app. This is a fact sheet for purchase order. As you can see, fact sheet is very simple. It contains some rectangles with the information associated with the document that is displayed. So in the left top rectangle, there is some general information such as supplier, order type, company code, and purchasing organization. In the other parts, we can see that there were some goods receipts posted against this purchase order, and that there is also a supplier invoice posted. However, we can see that this purchase order doesn't contain any purchase requisition. In the top right corner, we can see the complete value of this document, which is 10,000 Polish zlotys. Having discussed the fact sheet apps, now we can move forward to analytic apps. Analytic apps are generic drill-down apps usually. However, there are also some standalone analytic apps. In this presentation, I will demonstrate a generic drill-down apps. The generic drill-down apps are directly based on SAP HANA calculation views, and therefore they require SAP Web Dispatcher. This is because the user connects directly to SAP HANA instance. The data comes from the SAP HANA calculation view, not from the application server above. This has changed in the newest SAP version, which is S/4HANA, where SAP HANA calculation views are implemented together with so-called core data services views, and these CDS views are exposed through the SAP instance. But for SAP ERP systems, analytical apps are based directly on SAP HANA calculation views. For materials management, there are SAP HANA calculation views that allow you to show or implement KPIs such as off-contract spend, contract expiry, non-managed spend, open purchase orders, spend comparison, unused contracts, contract leakage, and invoice price change. Analytic apps are delivered with a product called SAP Smart Business for ERP 1.0. SAP Smart Business contains components that must be installed both on SAP ABAP instance as well as on SAP HANA database. So it is a product that contains components from ABAP and SAP HANA. In the picture, you can see that there is a KPI calculated 27.11. This means that 27% of all the purchases created were created without the contract. So generally, when you buy with contracts, you usually obtain better price conditions. So it is favorable to perform or create purchase orders with reference to contracts. So we would like this KPI to be as low as possible. Okay, we don't want to create ad hoc purchase orders without contract because probably they may contain some not optimal price conditions. However, the level of 27% is fine, therefore this KPI is displayed green. The KPI alone is not the only information that is available through the analytic apps. It is also possible to click the tile and go further into the details, execute some drill down activities. In this picture, you can see that there is off-contract spend shown by month and by supplier. So, for example, it is visible that all the purchases until August were executed without the contract because this KPI shows the value of 100%. It means that we started using contracts in August, and in August the value of this KPI was 20%. Because the overall value is 27%, it shows that the value of the purchase done in August was probably much bigger than those purchase orders created before. This type of information, such graphs, can be configured. So they are not delivered as you can see. They can be configured based on the dimensions that are available in SAP HANA calculation views. So they are flexible and allow you to implement various insights into data. Analytic apps are created or configured through so-called KPI framework. In KPI framework, we define KPIs, we define evaluations, and we define drill downs and views. So every analytic app, every analytic tile is based on KPI configuration and SAP HANA calculation view. As you can see, the KPI modeler that is available in SAP Fiori Launchpad contains a few applications used to define analytic apps, such as KPI workspace, create KPI, create evaluation, configure KPI tiles, configure KPI drill down, manage KPI authorizations, etc. So please keep in mind that analytic apps are configured. So whatever information is provided by SAP HANA calculation view, you can use it to flexibly design your analytic tiles. Having discussed the three types of SAP Fiori applications, transactional, fact sheets, and analytic apps, we would like to also mention the capabilities of integration with SAP Business Workflow. So SAP Fiori contains a generic app called My Inbox, and the My Inbox app can be used instead of dedicated module-specific apps, such as approved purchase orders. It is also possible to use My Inbox app with non-standard workflow processes and non-standard decision tasks. So if in your organization some custom workflows are implemented, then these custom workflows can be executed through this My Inbox app. Finally, in this picture you can see a basic architecture of SAP Fiori. So at the top, as you can see, there is desktop, tablet, or smartphone. So a device. A device runs HTML5 enabled browser. This browser loads SAP UE5 components from NetWeaver Application Server ABAP instance. When these browser components, SAP UE5 components, are loaded, a Fiori OData service is executed, so-called gateway service. This gateway service provides data to SAP Fiori applications. In addition, at the bottom there is business application and business content. These are regular ABAP function modules or tables, and this architecture is quite generic and is valid mainly for transactional apps. Fact sheet apps and analytic apps are built differently, but we will not go into details here. So finally, what are the technical requirements? So in order to use the full scope of SAP Fiori applications, you need to have ECC 6.0 EHP 7 run on SAP HANA database. This is if you want to use all the capabilities. Lower versions are also possible with some restrictions. But basically, starting from Application Server ABAP 7.4, there is a built-in SAP Gateway Framework. This is SAP GWFND component. This is an enabler for all data services. In addition, if you want to implement some SAP Fiori apps, then you need to look at front-end and back-end components. Front-end components are SAP UE5 sources. Back-end components are OData V2 services. So when you select some set of SAP Fiori apps, then you need to install these components additionally. In order to use factsheet apps, as I mentioned before, you need to have SAP HANA database instance. If you want to use analytic apps, then you need to have SAP HANA database, and you must install some additional components to SAP HANA database. In addition, analytic apps require SAP Web Dispatcher. Certainly, in order to get access to the system, you need to have public or VPN-based access to the application server ABAP instance. It is the best to do it through SAP Web Dispatcher for security reasons. Finally, if you want to explore SAP Fiori Apps Library, then you can go to the site fioriappslibrary.hana.ondemand.com, and you should click Fiori Apps for SAP Business Suite. As you can see above, there are separate sections for SAP S/4HANA apps. Please keep in mind that this presentation demonstrates SAP Fiori apps for SAP Business Suite. Please feel free to explore this SAP Fiori Apps Library, because this library is quite rich. There are very interesting applications for other modules as well, such as production planning and sales and distribution. In production planning, for example, you can perform production confirmations, or in an SD module, you can create sales orders. So imagine that your sales clerk creates a sales order while being with a customer. BCC offer. So in terms of SAP Fiori, we offer upgrades to the highest version ECC 6.0, EHP 8 and DB migration to SAP HANA. We offer also migration to S4HANA. This is also possible. We offer installation of any additional components required to implement all the selected apps, both application server ABAP components as well as SAP HANA components, SAP Web Dispatcher installation and configuration, SAP Fiori Launchpad configuration, implementation of all the selected SAP Fiori apps, creation of all the required catalogs and roles, training end users as well as administrators, technical documentation, implementation of extensions to standard SAP Fiori apps, and finally, implementation of custom SAP Fiori apps, custom OData services, and custom SAP UE5 sources. So you can contact us in order to purchase such services. Now I would go directly to our demo system and I will demonstrate some SAP Fiori applications. As you can see on the screen, there is my home page in SAP Fiori Launchpad visible. First of all, I will demonstrate the transactional apps. So at the top, you can see that there are apps available for approving requisitions, approving purchase orders, approving purchase contracts. As you can see, there is one pending purchase order and that requires approval. So starting the app is simply clicking the tile or touching the tile on a touch device. Here you can see the approved purchase order app. On the left, there is a list which contains one item, one pending item. This is our first screen in master detail template. On the right, there are some details: the PO number, the vendor, the plant, and the company code. In the top right corner, we can see the value of this purchase order. If we want to get some insight, we can click the item. After clicking the item, we can see some basic price components that are contained in this PO. So when I'm ready to make a decision, I can click either the approve or reject button. When I approve, I can provide some optional text. After confirming, the PO just disappears because now my work list is empty and there are no items pending available. I can go back. After going back, we can see that the dynamic number has refreshed immediately. So these are dedicated applications in materials management. I also mentioned that we can use the generic My Inbox app. As you can see in My Inbox app, there are some other tasks available. I will not go into details of this app here. I also mentioned the other apps, tracking purchase orders and My Purchasing Document items. When we click Track Purchase Order, we can see a work list of purchase orders. In order to display only those purchase orders that require my attention, then I can select some filter. For example, last 7 days, and please show me the POs only with some alerts. So when I select this filter, I can see that there is one PO that requires my attention. What is the situation that requires my attention? I can see that the PO has not been sent yet and the delivery is delayed. So now I can contact the responsible person and check what is happening with this PO. Another application is the overview of my purchasing document items. It demonstrates numbers that show how many purchase orders were submitted with each vendor. Certainly, when I click this number, I will see the POs that are sent to this vendor, and I can see its details. This type of application is called a work list. This is not master detail template, it's a work list template. It's a bit different from the master detail template. And finally, we can see the two analytic tiles of contract spend and open purchase orders. So we can see that, this KPI contains value 28%. 28%, it means that 28% of purchases were created without the contracts. So the value of this KPI is fine, therefore it's green. When we look on open purchase orders in the next 6 months, it means that its value is 277,000 Polish zlotys. It means that this value is too high and we should not have that amount of open purchase orders. When we want to dive into this data, we just click and we can see what is happening below. We can see that there are many purchases with the first vendor with the number 5 at the end. We can contact the person responsible for this vendor and check why so many open purchase orders are with this vendor. So as I said, so-called analytic tiles are configured using KPI modeler. When we click the KPI workspace, we can see the definition of those KPIs. For example, those two KPIs that are visible on my SAP Fiori Launchpad start page, we can see that there are two: open purchase orders and off-contract spends. For example, in open purchase orders, we can see that there is one evaluation created. For evaluation, you can see that there is a data source. A data source is SAP HANA View. This is what I mentioned during my presentation before, that every analytic app is based directly on a SAP HANA View. Every evaluation, in addition, contains some input parameters used to calculate the KPI. So, for example, we can see that the evaluation time frame in days is 180 days. This evaluation also takes into account only those purchase orders created in Purchasing Organization ZKUP. For this evaluation, there is one tile configured and one drill-down configuration with one configured view called Open POs by Supplier. When we click it, we can see the drill-down configuration, and we will see the configuration for the view that is visible when we click the analytic tile. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I will log off and give floor to my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.